Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I interview inspiring, fascinating women who are navigating aging with class and sass. I'm your host, Nicole Christina. Hey everyone, I am so grateful for all of the downloads, and I'd love a rating on iTunes and a comment. And please subscribe. It helps the show's rating so other people can find it and learn how to age well. And if you are loving the podcast, why not check out the companion online course, Zestful Aging, Simple and Sustainable Habits for Health and Longevity. You can access it through my website, NicoleChristina.com/Zestful Aging. It's based on the Harvard study of adult development, and I'm really proud of how it's turned out. Well, I've got my coffee in my hand and my trusty dog Sparky beside me, so let's begin. Today's special guest is Erin McDonald. After college graduation, Erin worked as a zookeeper at the Rosamond Gifford Zoo in Syracuse, New York, and she worked with nocturnal animals, primates, as well as elephants. And you know I'm going to be asking her more about that. After leaving the zoo, she managed a local doggy daycare, which she eventually purchased. And then she sold the daycare and she began work for Clear Path for Veterans. She works at the Clear Path for Veterans as a Dogs to Vets Puppy Development Coordinator and Canine Mingle Coordinator and Trainer. And she works with veterans that suffer from PTSD by teaching them how to train their dog. And the goal is healing through training. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you.
I know that you get a lot of questions, but I just cannot resist. You'll have to forgive me. You have to tell me what it was like to be a zookeeper.
It was awesome. I got the job right out of college, which I was very lucky. And that's really where I learned my training. You know, the lab part of it, you know, you have your book reading and all that, but the actual hands-on and lab part of it, it was amazing to train so many different species of animals. And because the concept's pretty much the same, it's just the rewards might be different, like dog treats versus carrots for llamas or jelly beans for the elephants, you know. But it was an amazing experience, and it's made me part of me of who I am today.
Right. And did you get attached to any particular species while you were there?
I was known as the bat lady. I mean, not that we knew the bats individually because they are in a colony, but I loved working with the bats. But you do get attached to some of the animals, you know, and if they pass away, it hurts just like, you know, a pet, because you take care of them every day. But
so you have a relationship with them.
Absolutely. And especially when you're training them, you know, you really kind of form a bond, and the primates are really close to us. So, you know, as humans, that when you're working with them, you just kind of form a bond. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would imagine. This might be a hard question. It's a broad question, but Can you say a little bit about what you learned about human-animal bonding?
From my own experience, I guess, I'm trying to think if there's a particular incident that like really was on. Yeah, I'm thinking of one, but it didn't involve me. It involved my senior keeper. She worked with the lions. She was the primary keeper for the lions, and the male back in the day got something stuck up in his tooth and his gum, and you know, and that protective contact, meaning that we don't go in with them. So through the gate, he presented his mouth to her, and she was able to take, you know, a device and just kind of pull it out. Mm-hmm. So he had that trust with her, and I'll always remember that story because they definitely had a bond. For me, I'm trying to think, but there's I went through so many different animals. Like I worked with a lot of them. As far as a training experience, I trained the llamas in the contact barn, and we did some demonstrations, and I wanted to kind of spruce them up because, I wanted to have a little more fun with them. And llamas don't like to really be touched. Like they'll swing their neck back, and they're just very sensitive to that. So I was like, well, I'm going to teach them to, it sounds so silly, like circus-like, but it makes them think. And I was able to start throwing a hula hoop, and he would catch it with his neck.
Oh,
but it, you had to shape it. It wasn't just like you bring the hula hoop out, and he's like, whoa, what is this? But that to me was kind of like a special bond with us when we got to that point where I can stand a distance away and throw the hula hoop, and he would actually move his head to catch it.
Would you say that was mental stimulation for him?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because the demo we used to do with them was just, brush them, and then people could pet them over the fence, and then, take the hair out of the brush and show them the lanolin and
Oh.
And I just wanted to do a little bit more in the training part. Plus, like I said, it does mental stimulation for the llamas as well.
So. Are there still animals at the zoo that you know?
I believe there are still some. I mean, I believe Siri's still there. She was the oldest elephant, one of the originals. I'm sure if she wasn't, that would be big news. So, yeah, I think there's a few that are there still since I left.
You got to know her well?
I worked with her, yep.
Yeah. What's she like? She
was slow. I remember her being slower than the others. So when we would be, the females were protected contact. They were not. So we could go in with them, and we used to bathe them and give them commands to lay on their side and scrub them. They get morning baths. So Siri was very slow to do her spin and things like that, where the others go really quickly. So, but she really enjoyed the male keepers that were working there for a really long time. So you just had to be careful because she could be kind of snotty to some of the female keepers.
Really?
But she definitely had a liking for the males that worked in the barn.
Is that
for
typical?
Years? We're talking for years though.
Yeah.
They were like Chuck. He was the senior keeper, and then he was the curator, and then so she adored Chuck, and all the guys there. So
how interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, I bet there's some just such fascinating behind the scenes stories.
Oh yeah, I was able to witness a birth of an elephant, of a baby elephant, which was pretty amazing. We had volunteers that would watch on a camera, outside of the barn, obviously. When it was getting close, every night we'd have overnight watches, and then the keepers would sleep there, and then when it was ready, we'd all wake up and be like, okay. So that was pretty amazing to see that, to actually be in the barn and see that. It was awesome.
I would imagine too that she would have to trust you to allow.
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean, we weren't. We would
You were
back
right next
and
to
let it happen. Let it
Yeah.
happen. We'd only step in if there was an issue, and the vet was, right there too. But yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. And then to work with us, a baby elephant.
Wow, how amazing. So we could talk about that for hours, because I'd want to talk about, like, I know there's some controversies about zoos, and then there's genetic stuff. There's a whole world we could talk about, but we should probably move on. And then you had you did the doggy daycare, and was that a tough transition after coming from the zoo? What was that like?
So when I started, I was in transition. I had left the zoo, and I worked there working with dogs in a pack. So yeah, that was quite a transition, because it's the training is there, the training knowledge is there, but you're working with not working with animals individually like you were at the zoo. So you're in a room with 20 other dogs, and trying to just really manage their play sessions, and that they're not gonna get into little tiffs and all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely something different for me. I was like, okay. But in in the transition, I also worked at a vet clinic for like 6 months, and I chose not to do that because it wasn't positive for me as far as like dogs are coming and not feeling well or this or that. And I had to, my first standing in with the vet and my first euthanasia, I mean, I was like crying with the owner. I mean, I just couldn't do the medical aspect of it. So the doggy daycare for me was more positive, and these dogs are coming in and fun and, playtime. But then I became manager of it. And then things started to shift a little bit more to like HR and running the staff and all that. So I trained classes in the evenings, but it shifted. And then, of course, when I bought it, I was still trying to maintain the training aspect of it. But that kind of, it's like I had to let something go in order to run the business day to day. And then, of course, that was definitely different because I wasn't training too much anymore. I was, doing HR stuff I didn't go to school for. And it was a great experience, great learning experience. I mean, I learned payroll. I know like QuickBooks. I know a lot of, stuff that
accounting stuff.
Exactly. But after 10 years of owning it, that's when I said, you know what, I really want to get back into training, and I won't be able to do that as an owner of a business.
How did you know, and I've asked this to different guests before because there's so many transitions, as we age, and I'm so curious to hear how you knew it was time.
Because I was becoming somebody that I didn't want to be. I was becoming so bogged down in, like I said, the HR stuff, the hiring, the firing, and just, I don't want this to turn into anything negative, but I was getting angry at a lot of stuff, things that I'm just like, why can't this be done this way, and because it's my personality too. I'm a perfectionist, and I just got burnt out, and I said, I don't want to become this person. I was kind of, I was going down a path where I was getting angry, and that's not me. I want to be happy, and like anybody, you want to be happy and you want to enjoy life.
It wasn't doing it.
No, because I wasn't. What made me happy? I've stopped to think. What made me happy is training dogs and seeing their progress, and then seeing the owner be happy because their dog is now, now not lunging at somebody or jumping or and I wasn't. That wasn't rewarding because I wasn't doing that.
I'm thinking about, the whole rewards with dogs, and you weren't getting rewarded.
Right. When you're I hate to say it, but like, I don't want to sound like pompous, but when you're at the top, there's no place to go, and there's nobody to reward you for what you do.
Oh, for sure.
My clients were always grateful and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I actually have one that always sticks in my head, and you run a tight ship here, he goes. I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. Kind of have to keep the dog safe, but so it just wasn't, I was just becoming somebody I didn't want to be. So.
Well, I don't know if I made up this quote, but I pretend I do because I say it a lot. Just because you're good at it doesn't mean you want to do it.
No, absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It makes sense.
Hello, Zestful Agers. A short intermission to thank you for the incredible amount of downloads. I love creating this podcast, and it's so satisfying to know that you are enjoying it too. Creating and hosting Zestful Aging has been a blast, but it does require a lot of time and resources to deliver a high-quality interview to you every week. So I've signed up with Patreon, which is kind of like Kickstarter, but for ongoing artistic projects. Unlike Kickstarter, the donations are recurrent and the amount is usually smaller. When you become a patron of Zestful Aging, you will receive special benefits like behind-the-scenes info, a place to communicate with other listeners, as well as other patron-only bonuses. These funds will be used to make equipment upgrades, particularly for mobile interviewing, and to travel to interview guests, like to New York City to interview participants in the Diversity Fashion Show. I also need to hire a professional editor. So please go to patreon.com/Zestful Aging and make a small but vital donation. thank you for contributing to the ongoing success of Zestful Aging, and I can't wait to bring you more juicy, inspiring interviews. Now back to the show.
So you made that realization. You were getting a little irritable and not feeling like you were getting, fed with the stuff you liked. And then did ClearPath come along, or how did that emerge?
So, funny story. Okay, so I bought the business from Melissa Spicer. She then became my trainer as I owned Blueprints. So I brought her on to be a trainer, and a guy put a note on my desk, so something about training, So I passed the buck. I go, Melissa, can you call this person? Melissa calls it the person that was a veteran, and he wanted to do something with dogs to help veterans. So she kind of went off in that direction with him, and still training, but the training was not as frequent at Blueprints where I owned. And so long story short, ClearPath came about. So the co-founder was Melissa Spicer, Steve Kinney, and her sister Melinda. And basically then, so that happened in like 2011. So I kind of lost her as a trainer, but she went and started that up. So, and we're also friends. So I've always still had a relationship with her.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how things circle back around. But so anyway, owned it for 10 years. And then I wanted to sell it. And I talked to Melissa. And Melissa always said to me, if you ever want to sell it, let me know. She goes, maybe I would buy it back. So I let her know I was ready. And she actually bought it back, but with partners, because she knew she wouldn't be able to be there as much, with running ClearPath. So she bought it. Yeah, so she's half owner of that, and I sold it, and she asked me to come on board and train. So it kind of was like,
oh wow, it's a real collaboration.
Yeah. So then I wound up being, I kept my LLC, and I wound up being a consultant for them. But it wasn't, I wasn't working anywhere else, so it was kind of the same income all the time. So I said, it's easier, just put me on the books, So then I started working for them full time, and been there I sold in November 2016, so been with them since.
So could you take me through a typical day for you at ClearPath? Or are there no typical days?
Well, it depends on the day. Like today, my team canceled. I was supposed to go training off site at Destiny because he's almost ready to go take the service dog test, but he had to cancel today. So, like for example, tomorrow on Tuesdays I have a foster class that I train. So we have some puppies, and the fosters bring the puppies on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock for a class, and we train them. And then actually tomorrow I have a CGC test out. So Canine Good Citizen, I'm an evaluator. So one of the teams needs to be tested out. So I'll be doing that. So it does vary, but it's training. And, there's some administrative stuff to the Canine Mingle program, signing people up for the classes and such. But those classes run in the evening. So we have contractors that come teach them, because that would be a long day for me.
Oh, yeah.
To train after, that. But, so I do some administrative stuff with that, but and then Wednesday I have Wednesdays and Thursdays I have team training, so my teams come in, or if we're off site we go off site somewhere and train. So I currently have 3 teams right now.
Teams of
meaning a veteran matched with a dog. Sorry.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what a team is, a veteran and a dog.
Right. So we're training them to hopefully, fingers crossed, go to service. Become a service dog. Not all of them make it, but we have other avenues like emotional support dog or therapy dog. So
where do you get your dogs?
So we've been working closely with Helping Hounds. A lot of them in the past have come from Helping Hounds, and we just started, we got puppies it was an experimental group, so they're a mixed breed. Somebody knew somebody who had them, so we're like, let's try. Because when you're raising a puppy, you can shape them. And when you get a shelter dog, you don't know their history. So when you have benchmarks and teams are supposed to graduate in 18 months to 2 years, sometimes instead of meeting those benchmarks, we're working on behavior modification of, say, something that's come to fruition reactivity of other dogs all of a
Like
sudden
a
on
bad
leash.
habit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's a lot harder to undo.
Undo it.
So then we might be spending a couple months on that, and we're kind of, so we figured we were going to try experiment with some puppies, and our biggest thing right now is just getting a big foster pool for even flex fosters. So if the foster is going away on vacation, I can throw out an email and say, hey, these dates, we need a flex foster. That's probably been one of the biggest challenges, because it's hard. You have to give the puppy up after a year old, or a year and a half. So that can be hard for somebody. But so that's a typical day.
So you would have the puppy and the veteran work as a team, and you are showing the veteran how to train the puppy.
Right. It's an owner trainer model, which means we're basically training the veteran to train their dog. The puppies aren't getting matched with a veteran until they're at least a year old, and right now they're 6 and 7 months. We have 2 different litters. We have black labs and shepherd mixes. So they're not matched yet. They're with the fosters. The fosters come in for the training. But the ones that have their own dog come in with their own dog, which again, depending on how old that dog is, it's been a pet for X amount of years now. We're trying to turn it into, service dog is very strict. It's on the news how these fake service dogs are out there and they're given bad names and in public access. So it's because there's no federal law. You can train your own service dog. There's no test. The veterans that we train, if the dog becomes service, we back them up through Clear Path. But they're trying to get more strict with that, especially on airlines. I don't know if recently you've seen there's
been some problems.
Yeah,
So do you see the veteran ever work? So it sounds like if they bring their own dogs, you would. But do you see the development of the relationship with the veteran and his or her dog?
Yes, absolutely. So usually with training, whether it's a veteran or not, even when I had my daycare and taught classes, and people are like, well, I just rescued a dog, but it knows sitting down. Doesn't matter. Go through a basic 1 class because it's gonna also help you bond with your dog because you just got it. With veterans, it's the same thing. It's that bond. So if we match a veteran up with a dog, sometimes it doesn't work out. They'll take it home, do like a 2-week trial, and go, like they're just not meshing well. And and you can tell that it's not working, because I'm sure you have dogs that you can see when there's a bond there. When the dog's just, so some do work out and some don't, but it's far and few between. Most of the time they work out. It's just, again, veteran or non-veteran, you go to a rescue and you have a high energy dog, you're not going to match that with a couch potato. If somebody's a runner, they might say, this is the dog for you. If you're apartment living and you're working a lot, and you might want to get a bulldog, they're a little less energy. So it's the same thing, like we have shepherd mix puppies right now, high energy, and English lab puppies. They're a little more like, lackadaisy.
They're the definition of shell.
So we're going to take that into consideration, obviously, when we're ready to pair them with their veteran.
Does the veteran take any kind of personality test or any kind of this is what I like to do?
There's a huge screening process to go through for, there's interview processes, there's paperwork, so they have to be obviously seeing a therapist, be diagnosed with PTSD.
They have to. That's part of.
That's part of the application process.
They have to. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's a process, and we do some interview questions. The manager of the program, and we have I don't want to say therapist, but a mental health specialist that does like a second interview, because we're not trained for that.
That's not what you're there for, right?
So that way they can see if there's any red flags, because if somebody has anger issues, you want to make sure they're not going to project that on the dog, so to speak, or anything, who knows. So there's an interview process and a screening process. If somebody's at drug or alcohol abuse and still using, you're not gonna, you have to get clean first, you know what I mean? So it's strict.
Do people feel very motivated to be in the program and say, I'm going to get clean so I can have a dog?
I think so. We have some success stories of that. I have a team I'm training right now who does not drink anymore, and actually is very in tune with his dog and is an excellent trainer. We want him to come back and help us train dogs. Wow. So he's a really good success story for us. But yeah, we do see that for sure, and it's, again, there's the rewarding part of my job, you know. So yeah.
How would you put into words what happens that is helpful between the service dog and the vet? I mean, how do you describe that?
You mean the dog helping the veteran? Well, each veteran is different with what they're going through, so we teach what's called tasks, and it might be hard in the beginning for them to open up. That's where the clinician might come in and say, they might tell the clinician, or they might notice something. So a nervous tick, if they're starting to get anxiety, if they're shaking their leg, or anger, is starting to brew. We can do a task for that, where the dog will then interrupt the behavior by nudging them with their nose or pawing them, and then that way at least they'll break the behavior and they can kind of bring themselves to the present. Yeah. So, but each veteran is different on what. So when I ask, like, okay, what tasks would you like to train, and I let them know what's available. I mean, really, sky's the limit, honestly. But pretty much those are some of the ones. And then if they go out to public access and they want some space between them and people, they can use their dog to stand lengthways, so that, like online at the grocery store, how sometimes people come right up behind you on the conveyor belt, put their stuff down, and it's like, come on, back off. They can use their dog, as to create space, and then they won't get anxious because that person's right behind them. So there's all sorts of different things that they can do. We teach them to pick things up, cell phones. That way they can, if they need to go get something, medication bottle, a bottle of water, anything, they can go, fetch it for their owner and bring it to them. So yeah, it just depends on what they're looking to do. For their service dog exam, they have to have 3 tasks under their belt.
I'm thinking about PTSD, and of course one of the hallmarks are flashbacks. How would you task a dog to help with a flashback?
Well, if they have night terrors, if it's at night, we can teach them to turn on a light switch. We can teach them to take the blanket and pull it off the owner, or just stand on their chest for pressure, so that they wake up. So there's a couple different things. Again, it depends, and that's where sometimes it's helpful for the spouse to let us know what they do when they have night terrors. So, because we have to train it so that as soon as it starts, the dog is right on it. The dog's aware. So if it depends on the situation. If they wake up to just the light being turned on, then that's all we would need to do. If they really are tough to wake up, then maybe the pressure of the dog standing over them or pulling the covers off might wake them up. So that's for night terrors. And then flashbacks again during the day. If they start, we would have to pair it with something that they do, and that's one of the things that helps us. And sometimes it's not easy for them to tell us what it is. But if they start to just zone out, or again some kind of tick, they move their fingers, tap their foot, the dog, that would be the cue for the dog to come in. And they get upset and they put their hands in their head, and they're crying or whatever. We can have the dog nuzzle their hands to break their hands away from their face and lick their tears. So it really just depends, and then we have to practice it. So they have to fake one of these episodes in order to get it, but then the dog can pick up on it when they have it. I mean, even our dogs, our pet dogs, they know when we're upset. They're very in tune with it. Yeah. So we're just really mitigating, helping them to mitigate the symptoms.
Wow. How is it for you to, it sounds like there's a lot of loving connection and healing going on, but certainly if you're talking to people who have PTSD, there's trauma behind that. How do you keep yourself positive or well or balanced given that environment?
Well, I do my Pilates. So there's that. The good thing about ClearPath is, we have wellness there. So they offer modalities, polarity, acupuncture. And if somebody cancels, they'll come and ask the staff, hey, you want a massage day? I don't take up on that just because, it's there and that's great. But to me, it's work. So I don't know, I'm weird about that, I guess. But I go home and I can't say I meditate but I just try to think positive and I exercise, So I'm not going to lie and say it's, it doesn't bother me sometimes, but, you can't let that stuff bring you down. You got to keep going. Keep going, so.
Do you continue to have check-ins or relationships with some of the veterans and their dogs who have graduated from the program?
So for me, I'm still fairly new. My teams that I have right now, because I've only been a year and a half in the program's about 18 months. My teams will most likely 2 out of my 3 will graduate. And then the ceremonies are always in October. So I can't answer that as far as anyone who's graduated. But I will say that the trainers that are there and their teams that have graduated, they keep in touch unless they move. Like some of snowbirds, they go to Florida. But they do, for the most part, keep in touch. Honestly, I've been contacting the ones that are due for a retest because you have to take a retest after a year in order to be, backed up by ClearPath. So some of them have moved to North Carolina, wherever, and we just can't get them to come back and do a retest. But we're trying to work on being able to do it via video. So we but then sometimes after that we just, for the most part, I feel like they're local and they've come back to use other programs. But I personally can't say that because I don't have that yet. I don't have that yet.
Right. What is your hope for the program? What would be a great development of this program? What would you like to see?
Well, I'm hopefully seeing it pretty soon. So my manager, he's launching a little separate part of the program because we have our service dog program and there's a huge wait list. And it's not just with us. Anywhere that they train service dogs has a wait list. It's a huge need right now. So, somebody might be stuck on the wait list for a year. We've only got 4 trainers, and you got to remember everything's funding. So what's in the works right now is, again, trying to just change the mindset and say this is healing through training. This is going to be a 6-month program. And it's going to be obedience, but it's going to be fun stuff. We're going to be like agility, things like that. And at least it's getting people off the wait list, but they're not going in there with the mentality that my dog's going to be a service dog. But it also gives us a look into whether or not that dog has potential through this program.
I see.
And at least we're giving them something rather than sitting on a wait list for a year. You know what I mean? So for me, that's huge because I'm really excited about that program. Because there's not all the pressure too, that you're trying to take a dog and their genetic makeup, depending on what they were bred for, and turn them into this perfect little dog out in public. And it's like I said, it's really hard, But okay, so your dog may not you may not go to service, but you have a bond with your dog, and you can still say the dog's great for service because it loves people. Go take it to, go through the therapy dog test. They have other options. They can take it to a hospital, take it around children, and it's still getting them out and not isolating them, provided they're, their personnel and they're okay to do that. But there's just so many other options that could help them. But the mentality is like, I want a service dog, And sometimes, people are asking me about service dog. And I think they're just asking me because it's a cool thing to have, honestly. It's like, well, we're just training right now for people suffering PTSD. And they're like, oh, well, okay, no, I don't have that. You know what I mean? So it's for me, I would love to see this program really, really like just explode. And in that 6 months, have the veteran see how they feel, where they can go, but through the training experience and saying, yeah, I get it. My dog won't make it to service, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I got
okay.
what I needed.
Right. Because the whole point is to heal and help you. So now, in the one case, they quit drinking. The wife's so happy, called, crying, and so in another case, it might be like, well, I got out today to the grocery store. They didn't need their dog to do it, even if they were in the store for 5 minutes. Or, every case is different, but I would like to get that service dog mentality a little bit more pushed on the back burner so it doesn't become a crunch. And I hate to say it because I'm not a clinician. I'm a trainer. But the whole point is, so you train a service dog and say they have a service dog for 6-7 years and it retires. Do you need another one, or are you good now? The whole point is to heal.
I see.
It's
That's a fine line. Yeah.
And it depends on what everybody goes through every day in their life, and something could trigger it again. But if you've gotten the tools to learn to get through it, then you may not need a service dog. You just need your dog.
Build your
go
confidence.
Right.
Yes. Right. Like you've kind of developed those steps.
Right.
Yeah.
And those steps you can still go to public access, but the stores that allow it, Lowe's, Home Depot, and then maybe you bring your dog to get out and do that, and then build your confidence to get out in those pet friendly places. And then you may not need a dog to go with you everywhere.
I see.
What I mean? So for me, I would like to see a program that would benefit through those other avenues, and still let them, understand that you're not on a wait list. Like, we're still trying to help you, but this is what we have. And it's something's better than nothing. You know what I mean? So.
And it might be enough, and
exactly,
yeah,
and it may not,
perfect.
and that's okay.
Yep.
We'll take that step when we see that's, and their dog, if they brought one in and it's just not going to be a service dog, and so to say, okay, well, and this person really needs it, through what we're seeing and the clinician, then we match them with one, or we get one from a shelter and we try it again. I just feel like there's always like a conveyor belt of like trying to push dogs through to service within an 18-month period, but then we, because we have grant money and things like that, and they want to see product.
I see.
Rightfully so.
I see. Yeah. Where does your funding come from?
All different grants. So that's more of a question specifically for I'm not 100% sure the names of private donors.
Oh, they are.
And a couple other, some of our bigger ones, but that's a question for the manager. But so that way it would just be less feel less like a business, that you're trying to produce a product and it's a live animal to get to this point, so that we get the funding for it. And we don't want to put out bad product.
Right.
I mean, we have a volunteer that comes and walks the dog. She used to foster dogs for CCI, Canine Companion International, which they raise like golden retrievers and labs for disabilities, more physical disabilities. She said out of the 12 that she's raised throughout her time, 2 made it. So that just gives you an idea.
Oh my goodness.
Of how, so that's
They're
why we have
lot.
to. We are asking a lot, and that's why we need to come up with other avenues to still heal through training. That's why I love to heal through training. It's healing through training.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds very wise. How do veterans hear about your program?
Well, we do. We have an outreach, program representative, but. So they go do a lot of events. It's a lot of word of mouth as well once you start getting, because they've been around since 2011 now. But it's still amazing to hear how many people have not heard about us. So, but we have outreach, peer support, we have Dogs to Vets, we have wellness, we have culinary. So there's a ton of other programs.
Right.
But the Dogs to Vets were what started the clear path through
Oh.
blueprints.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Oh,
they're
wow.
they're like they're
Right. Have you learned? I mean, you were already an expert in animal training, and then you were at the doggy daycare, and so you know a lot about dogs. Did you learn anything new?
Of course. Always.
Really?
Always, yes. Because I never task trained. I mean, we would do tricks, like classes. Oh, most people just want to do a high five with their dog. Or,
Yeah.
but to actually say, okay, I need my dog to interrupt this behavior because, a person's starting to get angry. I'm like, okay, so it's in my head on how to shape, like how to...
All the steps
to get there. But I'm going, what triggers it? What do you do that I need to match this with? And I always have to think of the steps. And then I think, is there a faster way to get there? Only because, not that I want to rush it, but sometimes veterans want to rush it. Everybody, I want my dog to stop jumping on people and I want it today, But yeah, always the task training is my favorite. But I had to learn some of the, go through my brain on what steps do I need, and I always asking advice from other trainers and stuff. It's fun to just bounce ideas off each other. Well, what if we try this? Oh, yeah, let's try it. Because what works for one dog may not work for another dog. Like in their brain, they might work differently. So,
are there particular breeds that lend themselves to being service dogs?
Well, we went to a conference, ADI, it's Assistance Dog International. We saw a lot of Goldens and Labs. And, they're energetic, but also mellow at the same time. I have somebody who has pointers, and the pointers are having puppies, but they were bred to hunt. We're not going to want that. That's going to be
the prey drive.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
boy.
We've seen German Shepherds, but raising Shepherd mixes right now, it's been a little bit challenging just because they're very smart, but they are also, there's just different things about them. Like you compare them to the English Labs we got going on right now, and they get anxiety if they're in a crate too long, or they want to be around people. With the Labs, I'll go in a crate and just plop down. You know what I'm saying? So there's all those other things. You don't want a dog to start barking and crying in a crate. That's gonna stress somebody out.
Yeah.
Somebody out more, a veteran out more. So yeah, I mean, it's really different. But you will see in the field a lot of Goldens and Labs. But like I said, I've seen Shepherds. I've seen Rottweilers. Personally, ClearPath won't train for service bully breeds because of the public perception.
Okay.
I know, pit bulls that are great, boxers, and that we can train them to emotional support dog, but we don't train them to service because of that public access and just the public perception of those breeds. So.
So where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Retired,
yeah.
and volunteering.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to retire younger than, no, I don't want to say younger, but to retire at 55 at this point nowadays is not really feasible. People work till the 60 something. But I had a plan early in my 20s and I was aggressive with it, so it is possible. But I'm also not the type of person to just sit still and do nothing.
Doesn't sound like it.
So who knows? I may work till I'm 60. I do see myself at ClearPath, whether it's being retired and volunteering or just the program is growing and growing. We're outgrowing our space. So there's going to be hopefully some a project, capital campaign project where we're going to be building, and ours is the first one because of the need. So we would hopefully be getting a new building and with 3 different training rooms. Right now we have 1, and lots more space so we can add more classes.
How many ClearPaths, how many programs like yours are through the country? Or how unusual is this?
Well, we just started, they started one in New England. There's a ClearPath New England now. A lot of people are starting up programs now that they've heard about ClearPath.
Really?
And not just throughout the United States, but internationally.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah. Actually, we just had a staff meeting, and Melissa, the CEO, she mentioned that, so that's pretty awesome.
Do you think you'll be traveling overseas to?
Oh, that would be awesome, but
Yeah.
no, I don't. No, I don't. I mean, I'm not there yet. Like right now with New England, my manager goes down there and makes sure they're running programs right and doing things. But maybe down the line, I just if I move up the scale a little bit, but not right now. I don't foresee that. But yeah, people want to kind of use our program as a guideline and start doing their thing, which is great because it's not a competition. We're giving back to the veterans who came home to sometimes nothing. Like the Vietnam vets back then, the PTSD wasn't even around. It wasn't even heard of. So now, we need to take care of them. And so it's good that it's spreading.
Oh, for sure. Are there, the podcast goes out to a wide, it's international, but for the people who live closer, are there particular ways that they may get involved or donate?
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about what our listeners might do to help your the initiative?
Well, we have obviously a website, so it's clearpathforvets.org.
Okay.
And on it you can go, if you want to volunteer, there's a volunteer tab. You can go on there, the application's right there. And then it would just ask you questions and where, because like I said, we have wellness, we have facilities, which is like right now, a lot of volunteers are planting, flowers and things like that. So they're doing the grounds work, events, doing the Mega Murph events this Saturday, a lot of setup for that. So things like that. Depending on what they're interested in, culinary. Every Wednesday we have what's called Canteen, and it's a meal that Chef Chris makes, and he's an amazing chef. And so he makes the meals, and veterans and their family can come and eat, have lunch. So you can certainly donate by volunteering. You can donate, your time. There's the donation tab on the website.
Okay.
And there are wish lists. There should be wish lists on, I believe they're on our website under each program. And so if you want more of a tangible thing, like for us, we're donating food, but it's a specific food that the dogs are on.
Of course.
Things like that. So, yeah.
So there's it sounds like there's all range of small things, large
Oh,
things,
yeah,
different
of course.
kinds
Yeah.
So that sounds great. Any last words that you'd like to share with our listeners about what it's been like for you personally as a woman going through these career changes and being a part of ClearPath for Veterans?
No, I have no regrets. I mean, everything that I've done has been a learning experience, whether it's good or bad. I mean, owning the business, I lost so much money just making stupid business decisions, but I learned from it. So I don't take it as like, oh my God, I mean, at the moment you do, but when you reflect back, I have no regrets. I mean, this path has always been an animal path for me. So I don't ever foresee myself doing anything other than working with animals.
Erin, thank you so much for telling us all about your interesting life. I know our listeners are going to love hearing about this, and I expect that they will be going on your website, clearpathforvets.org. Is that right?
If it's not work, it might become. I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
it'll come up.
Okay, we'll find it. But I really appreciate your time, and it sounds like a phenomenal program. And
thank you.
I appreciate you're doing the work.
Well, thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. I love to hear from my listeners, so send me an email at NicoleChristina.com and tell me what you'd like to hear more about. I would also greatly appreciate if you could hop on iTunes and rate the show. Ratings help other people find the podcast so I can share all these good, juicy interviews with others. I would also invite you to become a patron of the Zestful Aging podcast. Hop on over to patreon.com/Zestful Aging and consider making a small donation. You will be eligible for insider-only goodies and behind-the-scenes information, and it'll help you feel good knowing that you're contributing to the Zestful Aging podcast. I'll look forward to sharing more juicy interviews next week on Zestful Aging.